Hello. Are we back?
Hello.
It is recording now.
Okay.
Technical difficulties overcame.
It's me. It's okay.
But we made it. We made it to Whyte Noise. It's our guest, Alyson, who just, technical difficulties. Ironic since you're an engineer. This is my sister, Alyson Berry. Alyson, thank you for being here.
Oh, I've been waiting to be here. So
We finally got you.
finally got me.
Everyone gets to meet the connective tissue that makes it all work.
Right.
Some people think we look like twins, and some people are like, you don't look like you're related at all.
Yeah.
I'm like really studying it right now, and I would say I think you guys look alike. I mean, you have different hair tones, like very similar nose, very similar like face. Yeah, no, I'm down. You guys are definitely related.
Yeah.
Okay. And our other special guest, Bogart, is there too. He has really strong opinions about this, apparently.
He loves kelp.
Yes, our topic today is kelp, which this is going to be an interesting one because both Ryan and I were like, we had so much time to prepare for this.
Actually, we really did. We took a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a break. Let's call it a spring break, really.
A spring break? Well, you've been busy renovating your home and building decks and doing a lot of things.
You've been at it too.
And I wrapped up my show, but I'm done now. So now it's like summer break. We had a wrap party this week on my show, The Night Agent. And so summer break started on Thursday. It was a great party.
Was the night agent there?
No, he wasn't there. He was probably off saving the world.
Yeah. And
He's hot.
Puerto Rico.
Gabriel Basso. I'll let him know when I see him next.
Please be like,
Yes.
Have you ever met? Are you familiar with Ryan Wilder? Just by chance.
He has notes for you. So, Alyson, you are an engineer who works on electrical things. You do not work with things under the sea, but you read many books about literally every topic under the sun. So I feel like you're qualified for literally anything we could potentially talk about.
I'm going to try. I know a couple of things about kelp.
I was going to say, do you have feelings about kelp?
I do. I don't like slimy, undersea aquatic plant, stuff.
So in other words, you're opening with an opposition.
I am I'm not opposed to kelp. I am strongly opposed to kelp touching me whilst I am in the water.
So no kelp wraps for you.
No, it's too slimy. It's gross. Our friend Grace, also friend of your podcast, has a house up on Thousand Islands, and it's not kelp. It's some other kind of sea grass. But it's slimy and it's gross. And so you have to,
it's really gross.
I think that's the origin of the fatty dipping because it keeps your feet up.
Fatty dip. Oh, yeah, we did talk about the fatty dipping, didn't we?
Yes.
Where you'd call it skinny dipping, but her mom would call it fatty dipping.
Yes. and you could, and diaper dipping because you put the life vest through your legs so you were sitting up. And then that's how you didn't have this icky seagrass in your feet. So,
which, especially when I was younger, when we would go swimming there, like, I didn't even want to get in. If the water level was too low and it was like you're just kicking through seagrass, it felt so gross. Because it also made me think of a story, which I will talk about during my 10 minutes.
Should we get to your 10 minutes?
Since we don't have to play Get to Know You as much, since I've known Alyson literally my whole life, and you've known Alyson for quite some time. Our audience, I feel like, have learned a lot about you just from me telling Alyson stories.
Yeah.
That is true. I mean, this is actually how Alyson is how we all know each other is the reality of it.
That's right.
So Alyson and my husband work together, and I would say it was a work, wife, husband sort of sitch. I think that's a fair summary. And I feel like it still kind of transcends even not working together.
It does.
It's worth noting, for everyone that my husband and Alyson get together and just go down this dark, scary rabbit hole of engineering things where I just tune out and go to another place usually, or I will tune in and then just start asking random questions about whatever the crap is that they're throwing around. Biggest error in my life was watching the movie Chernobyl.
I knew you were going to say that.
I don't know why. I think we were very informative as we watched that 6-part miniseries.
And yet I was going to say every part was torn apart 6 ways.
Yeah, because it wasn't accurate.
Wait, and remind me, did you guys approve of the movie Chernobyl or the miniseries, or did you not like Chernobyl?
It was fine. I'll say it was fine.
It was fine.
Ryan, how was your experience?
We ruined it for him.
I remember we went to the beach after watching it, and all you two did the entire time at the beach was just talk about all the things that you thought were bullshit. And I just remember being like, I'm going back home.
Yeah, he did. He got up and walked away from us.
And was the issue just how the movie or how the show portrayed what happened at Chernobyl, or just about what actually did happen at Chernobyl?
Yeah, they dramatized it. So they just made it things that wouldn't happen, it was just more it was dramatized. That's all. That kind of stuff doesn't happen. Your skin would be peeling. I feel like Ryan's going to have flashbacks. I'll stop talking now.
About to run off and take a Xanax. Damn it.
But we're not talking about Chernobyl.
We're talking about kelp, right?
We're talking about kelp. All right, Al, you know the drill. Who would you like to go first?
Ryan shall go first because then we'll learn a little bit about it and then we'll close. Do you want Michael to go first?
I want to go first.
Okay, then Michael's going first. Go for it,
I will
Mike.
go first then.
Yes.
Okay,
really?
Ryan, let me know.
I didn't know it could work like that. I've never had that happen before.
Luckily,
That's 'cause we're
our
friends.
guest is a very close friend of yours. So,
Go for it, Michael. Let's hear what you got to say about kelp.
All right, ready, set,
yes.
go.
Okay. So, for them who don't know what kelp is, I did begin to watch a YouTube video. Also, I'm currently at Ryan's house in Asbury. Well, Ryan is at his other house in Woodstock. And he has a beautiful front porch, and it's a gorgeous day. And I was sitting on the front porch starting to research kelp when his neighbor came over, who's a lovely, lovely man. And we just started chatting for 45 minutes. And so I didn't get nearly as, I barely finished one YouTube video on kelp. But what I did learn from said 5-minute YouTube video, kelp is essentially seaweed. For people who might not know,
It's an algae.
it's an algae.
Mhm.
No, it's not.
It's not an algae? Okay. It's not an algae.
Oh.
Allison, you're incorrect.
Thought it was a brown algae.
It is brown, but it's seaweed.
It's a protus.
Oh, okay. That
protus?
makes more sense.
I don't even know what a protus is.
We'll talk about it more when Ryan goes.
When
ahead.
Ryan does his.
Mhm.
But yeah, so a seaweed for general terms, and it they can grow to be absolutely massive. They said 150 feet, depending on their space. I guess it's like a goldfish. They grow to fit their space. And there are kelp forests that are great for the environment and great for the local fish and all the things that live in them. They're also really great for climate, of trying to avoid climate change, because they are better at creating what is taking carbon?
Oxygen?
What's that term? Or creating oxygen.
Carbon
but,
sequesterers.
carbon sequesterers than forests on land. So I guess
Makes sense.
one kelp forest can, there was a fact, it was one kelp forest can reverse all of the carbon dioxide emitted by the state of New York. So they're much better than even a regular forest. I'm not quite sure why, because I didn't get that far. But they're very, very good for the environment. And the problem is we are actively destroying them. Not to be on a bummer note, but we are super destroying kelp forests by everything, fishing nets to pollution to everything. It's really, really bad. So that's, seaweed. So my personal feelings about seaweed generally is I think it's super ick. As we were saying with the Thousand Islands.
Super ick.
I respect them because we need them to literally stay alive so that our planet doesn't become, a baking rock. And we need them to so other creatures that are essential can live in them. So my first why Alyson when I was young, and I was originally super icked out. Not only does it feel gross, but when I still love mysteries, but when I was little, I got really into mysteries, as you know, especially audiobooks. And one of the first audiobook little collections I had was short stories by, great writers, but Agatha Christie specifically. And Agatha Christie wrote one standalone like novella about a woman who murders her twin sister. And I actually don't think this is physically possible. So I don't think Agatha Christie fully knew how seaweed works. But she takes her out on like a loch somewhere in Scotland where there's really thick seaweed. And she pushes her sister off the boat and she gets tangled in the seaweed and drowns.
Oh,
Ah.
that's I don't remember that one.
That's how she dies, because it's like it's an obscure one. And I remember listening to it when I was really little. It was one of those ones where I think Mom went to Barnes and Noble and just got me like a little collection of like great mystery writer stories. And this was one of the Agatha
read it
Christie
beforehand? Ones. Yeah, good job.
Yeah,
Mom.
probably not. And it's like really dark because it's like there were kids in the boat. Like it's about a twin sisters, and one became like really rich and one really didn't do well, and they were separated, and then the one who didn't do well killed her sister and stole her life and sort of like stepped in.
I feel like now it's coming back to me.
And there's been like versions of that since, but that was one. And the way she killed her was that like they couldn't find the body forever, and she was actually they say she was a good swimmer. But the twin sister who took her place couldn't swim, and that's how they figured out it was her, because one of the kids like fell in the lake and she couldn't go save him. But they were like, that's how she drowned. Apparently, she killed the sister by getting her tangled in seaweed. So when we went to the river as kids, I was like, not only is this stuff slimy and gross, but apparently you can die in it. Which I don't think really works because it's not super strong. Like you could kick through seaweed and it breaks apart pretty easily. So I really just think Agatha Christie didn't really know, unless Scottish kelp is like especially strong.
The Scots tend to be pretty strong, so
yeah. So maybe it's possible if you get really tangled in it. But yeah, so it really freaked me out. The other thing kelp takes me down is, which Ryan, we had talked about before, is SpongeBob SquarePants the musical.
Oh yeah, so good and so sad.
So good.
Okay, so that's really where we're going. I saw SpongeBob 3 times on Broadway. Anyone can watch it now because Nickelodeon filmed it during COVID. And so it's streaming. You can watch it. I think it bounces. You know, it's one of those. It's like wherever Nickelodeon chooses to license it, whether it's Netflix or Hulu. Now, I was not a massive fan of the TV show SpongeBob. I always thought the character was fun, but just like a hair annoying. Which, fun fact, Gracie, speaking of Gracie, her mother went to high school with the guy who's the voice of SpongeBob. Right. And he asked her out and she turned him down because she thought he was just like a weird, nerdy theater kid. And she was one of the popular girls. And now she's like, damn it, I should have married him because he's super rich now because he's the voice of SpongeBob.
I mean, Pete's still awesome, so we'll give it.
To be fair,
fine.
Grace's father is a very cool dude.
He's a cool dude.
But yeah, SpongeBob the musical, it's so good. And I was working at TKTS at the time, so they gave us free tickets. I didn't want to go because I was like, this is going to be stupid and annoying and for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up taking Alyson, like I made it our family Christmas show. I dragged our parents to see it who ended up loving it. And James and Ryan took you guys. And like, it is so good. And I was reading about it again today about the plot, and I was like, this is so relevant and they should revive it. So the basic story of this version of SpongeBob is it's Bikini Bottom and there's a volcano that is going to erupt. They're having all these rumblings and the politicians don't want to acknowledge it because it's upsetting the town and it's going to upset real estate and local businesses. And so they want to just ignore it. And then, of course, Sandy the squirrel, who's the scientist, is like, no, this volcano is going to erupt, but don't worry, I created a thing that will stop it from erupting. It's science, but no one wants to believe in science because it's inconvenient. And then
she's a land animal, so
she's a land animal, so they don't believe her. And she's played by a black woman. And so they really and I love that was the undertone where they were like, they don't believe her because she's a woman of color in science, woman of color in STEM. And so for many reasons, they just want to disregard her. And they totally, they go after her for being different because she's a land animal. So then the bad guy, the plankton guy, who just wants to get everybody to come to his restaurant, creates a pod that will just like quick fix take them somewhere else. But really the pod is just going to hypnotize them into only eating at his restaurant. But weirdly, the town sides with that and they decide to like fundraise to build this fake pod that will just like move them away from the volcano rather than addressing the real problem. So it comes down to SpongeBob and Sandy and Patrick, the lazy starfish, to save the day. Which, of course, they do, even though no one in the town supports them. And when they come back, like while they're climbing the volcano, the town erupts into utter chaos because the pod doesn't work. They can't raise the money. Everything's a mess because the politicians are horrible leaders. And then, of course, SpongeBob saves the day, and then they come back and everything ends happily. But it's like the main themes are not believing in science, lying politicians who don't know what they're doing, and like distraction and chaos. And it's just like, this feels so relevant for right now.
Yeah.
So true.
When the world is potentially going to be on fire. And that's why I thought this show was so brilliant, because how they did it was, it could just be like a light, fun show. And this is what I told people at TKTS. It could be just a light, fun show about SpongeBob and his friends and for children and light and silly and funny. Or it could be a show that has an underlying thing about like racism and misogyny and, and
Political
attacking
stupidity.
outsiders, political stupidity. And then another layer of like conservation, about believing in science. Like it was such a beautifully layered show that depending on what you wanted to get out of it, you got it. And then the production itself was just incredible. How it was all made out of found material.
Yeah.
So they didn't look like cartoon characters, that they wanted to use recycled pieces. So like fins that were made out of rubber dish gloves, and like a giant sunset made out of old surfboards. And like when they did a rock tumble, it was recovered old rubber balls that were just all different sizes. That the volcano that he had to climb through was made out of netting and ropes. That it was essentially just a giant rope course on the stage. Like it was
such a cool,
brilliant.
It was such a cool.
Yeah. I mean, and I could get into how it was robbed at the Tony Awards because of dumb politics.
It was
robbed. Listen,
actually,
Tony
what were the politics? I want to hear them.
So the thing is, it was the most nominated show of the year. It was nominated it won everything leading up to the Tonys, and then it lost every Tony Award except for scenic design to this other show, The Band's Visit, which Alyson and I both also saw, which was a lovely little show about an Egyptian band in 1996 who goes to this little town in Israel. They get on the wrong bus, end up in the wrong town in Israel in the middle of the desert, and they spend the night. And it's one of the shows over the course of the night. They stay, they meet the locals, and somehow they all change each other's lives. And then they get on the bus the next day and go to the next town. And it's a very sweet little show about like two cultures coming together.
In it.
And Tony Shalhoub, and it swept the Tonys. Even Tony Shalhoub won Best Actor over the guy who played SpongeBob. Even Tony Shalhoub was confused that he beat, because the Ethan Slater who played SpongeBob, who's now in the Wicked movies, who plays Bach,
Mr.
was
Ariana
brilliant.
Grande. Yes.
Yeah, he was so good.
His performance as SpongeBob was
So
insane. He won every
good.
award leading up to it, and then somehow lost.
Snubbed.
Even Tony Shalhoub, and his Tony speech was like, "Well, I don't know why I'm up here, but okay."
I hear.
And the director for Band's Visit was the same thing. The woman who won for SpongeBob, because SpongeBob was so brilliantly directed, and it was so innovative and different. And she lost, and even the director for Band's Visit was like, "Okay, thanks."
Yeah.
Like the winning show was as confused. So the big thing, Tony voters didn't vote for it because they didn't go see it.
Yeah.
Tony voters wouldn't go see SpongeBob because they wrote it off as just a dumb Nickelodeon children's show because Nickelodeon produced it. And so they were like, snobby Tony voters refused to even see SpongeBob.
Are you
and
serious?
Therefore, they just didn't vote for it. They voted for Band's Visit because it was sort of the prestigious show of the season. Like Mean Girls was the other big musical that year, and they weren't going to vote for Mean Girls because also Mean Girls was fine. It was okay. But Band's Visit was like the cool show to vote for if you were like a critic, because it was written by a prestigious writer. Everyone on it were like fancy people. It started at this very fancy off-Broadway company called the Atlantic Theater Company. It was like the critical darling. Even though critics loved SpongeBob, it got like across the board brilliant reviews.
It was
that was the big thing. Tony voters just didn't see it.
I went in with a very critical mindset. I kind of went in and I'm like, I'm going to think this is stupid. And then walked out and I was I bought the t-shirt. That's how much I loved it. Like, and I don't just like, I mean, I know that sounds silly, but like, I was like, I like this so much. I want a t-shirt from it. And I bought a t-shirt.
It was so good. So I'm glad they at least filmed it and then you can watch it. So, because it was great. All right. That's my rant about SpongeBob. And Kelp was a character.
By the way, Michael, funny moment. I literally, like, you just pulled up the coffee mug to have a sip, and my thought was like, I was like, oh my God, I have the same coffee mug.
You do.
It's because it's your coffee mug.
All right. Are you ready, Ryan?
Yeah, I think so.
Welcome to my world. You're about as prepared
As
as I
good as
ever
it's gonna
am.
be right now.
It's
Although
fun.
I feel
You
like I
are a
managed
great
to
riffer. So
pull some things together here. I'm not gonna lie, I was multitasking.
I saw your eyes looking down at your phone.
Yeah, I was doing a couple different things because, well, you gave me a direction to go, Alyson, and I was like, how much can I dig up quickly on the topic and
listen, when in
elaborate? So
doubt,
I'm
tell a
gonna.
granny story. You've got this.
Yeah,
Oh my
you've
God,
got
I
this.
really, we haven't had an opportunity to tell the grandma
I
stories, and like,
know.
by the way, she is apparently not doing too well these days. I
Oh,
need to get down and see her.
Granny.
So
Granny,
I know,
I'm
but I
sorry.
mean, look, she's 96, 97 years old.
She's won the
so
game already. She's in overtime.
Cheers to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
grandma's done it right.
Yeah,
So,
she has. All right, teach me, Ryan.
all right, I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
And go.
Okay. So, we'll go back to just the protus thing. So, protus for those, or that grouping, is basically like the junk drawer of living things on the planet, and they tend to be unicellular, but in the case of kelp, multicellular, and it's because they just don't carry common characteristics to other things. So for example, kelp isn't a plant, so it's blades, not leaves. Stipes, oh, I forget what stipes are supposed to be instead of, but hold fast instead of roots. So the roots, like, in other words, it just has those things to hold on to things, not necessarily to, bring nutrition up from the ground. But yeah, so protists are just
little
kind of
air
a grab
balloons,
bag.
right? Sorry, don't they
Yeah,
have also like little air
Yeah.
balloons?
Maybe that's what the stipes are.
And that's what makes them grow towards the surface because they have little bulbs with air that are like little built-in balloons. Sorry, that's the one thing I learned about them that I thought was cute.
Yeah, well, and apparently like they manage those bladders to kind of help them float in various situations. They're like pretty interesting, and they're mostly oxygen, but they're nitrogen and carbon dioxide from what I recall reading. But since Alyson doesn't like the slimy part, I decided I would just go ahead and dive quickly into the slimy
there's
part. And what is
slimy?
the
You
storyline?
would dive into the slimy part.
Whee! It just slide right through.
We'll just scuba dive into it.
So the slime is actually called mucilage. So it's like a
Mucus.
mucus.
Mhm.
And it's polysaccharides, which means it's just really a complex sugar
Yeah.
that coats the basically exterior cell walls of the kelp.
So are you saying we should all go out and lick kelp because they're sweet?
I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, Alison. I was thinking the same thing. I was kind of like, I wonder if that means like just from like if you were like, oh, that's sweet. Although I wonder if they're too complex for your taste buds
Oh.
to actually taste the.
The sweetness because it's a
You know what?
poly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
I don't know. Do you like seaweed salad like at like a
No.
sushi joint?
No, I
I'm
don't
see, I
not
like
a
love it.
seaweed salad
seaweed.
fan either.
I don't like
Oh,
seaweed.
I think it's delicious.
I
But
Yeah.
it does not taste sweet at all.
No,
So,
No.
kind of bitter.
but the purpose is to keep it from drying out, like in low tide.
Makes sense.
It actually is UV protection as well as protects from pollution. So like
Oh.
the seaweed can sit in nasty water and still be okay because it's got that mucus to protect it. It's anti-stick. So when you think about these giant kelp forests and all these long blades, I wanted to get the terminology right. The blades rising up through the water, they don't stick to each other. They all kind of manage to stay independent regardless of tide and movement. And apparently it has pretty significant wound healing properties to it. So if the kelp is damaged, the mucus can reconnect itself to itself and then like help heal up whatever damage was taken place. But it turns out that slime has a really important role and we interact with it a ton because it's a product that we use all over the place. So I'll just kind of start with like, how is it harvested? So seaweed, and specifically, this stuff is called sodium alginate, which is when they process the mucilage, this is the product that you get. And basically what happens is wild harvesting, workers cut up the giant kelp and other brown algae and they like dry it out. And once it's dried out, they clean it, they chop it, they boil it, Oh, my bad. They actually don't dry it out. I made that up. I'm like ChatGPT. I'm imagining things.
Dare you?
Right.
Get your facts right.
They use it as an emulsifier mostly, right? It's an emulsifier.
Yeah, exactly
That's
right.
The other fact I knew about kelp is that it's in like everything.
Yeah, so it's when you add calcium to it, it becomes a gel, and that's how you get these like these fancy caviar pearls that you see in various gastronomical dishes. It's a thickener, so it's present in salad dressing, ice cream, and yogurt. And then it's not toxic and biodegradable. So in other words, the use of it in the getting rid of it, it just breaks down and the world consumes it without any real cost. But it also is used to do encapsulations of like it's like pill capsules is the other big use for it.
Yeah, those like squishy pill, like the Tylenol squishy ones. That's the algae
gel caps.
from the
Oh, whoa. I didn't know that.
But it's I think the cool part is that to actually get the sodium alginate, I was like, I looked it up and like I was like, oh, is this just something we now like synthetically produce? And by synthetically, I don't mean with a non-natural material. Like in other words, we figured out how to like chemically create it. And it's not true. We actually do harvest the kelp or the brown algae or grow the brown algae for the purposes of boiling it down and creating this precipitate or powder, which is then reconstituted in various places. It's also used in like clothing as a fire retardant, so it will not burn.
Instead of asbestos.
Yeah, instead of asbestos.
It's probably healthier for everyone. Yeah, right.
Have you ever actually run into asbestos in the wild?
Oh, yeah. My apartment in the Bronx had asbestos. When we pulled the carpet up, it had asbestos tile.
Oh, I meant like literally in the wild. Like, have you ever dug up rocks and found it on a rock?
No.
I have.
That would be scary, and I would run away.
How did you know what it was?
So oddly enough, this was on. I'm trying to gamble how old I was. I was probably in like 7th or 8th grade, and it was on a Boy Scout hiking outing. And one of the dads looked down and there was this rock, and we flipped it over and it had this like kind of crystalline structure on it. And sure as shit, he was like, yeah, that's asbestos, 100% naturally occurring asbestos. You know, it's not dangerous unless you crush it and
aerosolize it,
breathe it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like, actually, I'm going to take this home and keep it or have it as an example. And I think he worked in some sort of field where it was relevant. So to go take it at work and be able to show people what what the naturally occurring asbestos actually kind of like looks like. But yeah, obviously sodium alginate is far better than asbestos because you can put it in your body and it breaks down.
Won't give you mesothelioma.
Mesothelioma, those commercials.
I was going to say, or moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Although I don't think asbestos
I don't think asbestos does that.
Sorry, tell us more kelp stories.
Your kelp. It's fire retardant.
Because you have a little over a minute.
I actually, so those are all my fun facts. Like I've kind of gone through it. The other things, I think the other thing that's kind of interesting is that giant kelp, which is the one that they harvest most frequently because, well, first of all, it grows at 2 feet a day or better,
Whoa.
which is kind of insane, right? To have something, it's the grower of the world, if you will, and can grow up to about 150 feet in length. So that means in some of these giant kelp forests, the kelp strands actually extend longer than the height of the Statue of Liberty. So
Holy crap.
Because I believe the Statue of Liberty is around 151 feet. It's actually pretty impressive. And that's, I think, another reason that it goes heavily into that sustainability category. So bamboo fits into that category because bamboo will grow virtually anywhere and grows. It's a weed, grows like a weed, doesn't need much to grow. And kelp kind of falls into that overall category. I think the other cool thing is that it does hold on to a fair amount of carbon dioxide, and when it dies, it takes that carbon dioxide or a chunk of it with it back to the bottom of the ocean. So it actually, and there's a lot of research going on right now. Like if we had larger kelp forests, would it help draw more carbon dioxide from the air and return it back into the earth, from which, we mined it, burnt it, and distributed it into the atmosphere.
Thanks,
So,
Kelp.
what's funny is I didn't think I was going to be able to finish that minute, but I found some shit.
You
did
it. I had so much faith in you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Oh,
All right, Alyson. You know the drill.
I do. And I'm so torn because honestly, the one fact that I knew about kelp was what Ryan talked about. And I don't want to be accused of playing favorites because, you are my brother. But I have to go with SpongeBob because I love SpongeBob. So Michael's the winner. Even though, Ryan, you're also a winner in my heart.
I feel like you had better stories. I just Starlight Expressed this again.
Yeah, you
so
did.
It's fun. It's like when we had Alyssa on. It was like, I will win if I just talk about Starlight Express.
Really, I wanted to give it to you both.
Well, thank you. And I agree. SpongeBob is the best.
It is the best.
It's a great show.
I was so sad with the whole political bullshit on it. More people should have seen it. It was just a genuinely enjoyable experience.
Which is why they should bring it back, because now people know.
Maybe this podcast will be the launching. Maybe we did it.
There we go. So.
I'll call up Ethan Slater. I met him recently.
Yeah.
He was lovely. All right, Al, what is our topic for next week?
Well, okay, so I was doing this morning because I needed to buy some things. So it's going to be online shopping. I feel like there's a lot of ways you can go with this, like the psychology of why we're so obsessed with online shopping right now, or just your problems with online shopping, like me, and the instant gratification of it. And there's a lot of things you can talk about. Who started online shopping? I think it was Amazon.
Oh, yeah. I've never thought about that. Who did start online shopping?
It might have been Amazon. Boo, Bezos. But yeah. And even how you can get you can get anything. I'm pretty sure you can online shop a house. I know you can online shop a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can online shop a person. Just ask Matt Gaetz.
Ew, Matt Gaetz. Oh, Michael, that went in a dark direction. I was going to say a dog, but okay.
Watch, it's just going to be being here are the things I bought recently.
I was drunk at 2 a.m. and this is all the stuff that just arrived.
Do you know what's funny is I actually thought I do it less since I stopped drinking.
Yes.
Random purchases late at night. But I still have those moments where I don't know why, but late at night when I wake up and I'm fuck it. And I hit the button, I just buy it.
I know. Or when I'm having a bad day, you're I deserve this. And then it shows up and you're what was I thinking?
Why did I buy this?
Why? Yeah.
Okay, this will be fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Alyson. Thank you so much.
Love you. Good luck. Send us photos of your decks, please.
Oh, well, gotta be careful.
Of your big decks.
Yes. And your help.
And we'll be back next week with online shopping.
For some online shopping.
Yay!
Bye.